gracious me!
What is going on, guys? TVM here. Welcome back to Team of the Week predictions. This week is going to be a bit tricky because it is, of course, the international break. So I'm looking around at all the European qualifiers. There's Africa Cup of Nations games as well. Friendlies don't count, so just in case your nation has played a friendly, that won't count towards Team of the Week. Up first, though, the Turkish goalkeeper, Mert Günok. I probably mispronounced that, but either way, he's made 7 saves and kept a clean sheet in a 2-0 win. Dan James of Swansea got the only goal in a Wales win over Slovakia. This would be the only silver, in my opinion at least, from this weekend's action. I can't quite remember the last time a Kazakhstan player got himself an inform, if ever. There aren't that many in the game. Alexander Merkel, with 1 assist in a 3-0 win over Scotland. He should be enough to get him there. Neither of the goal scorers are in the game, so I can't choose those, so I had to go with Alexander Merkel. Away from international duty, Lucas Atkins was amongst the goals and the assists. 2 goals, 1 assist in a 5-2 win. Back to international duty we go with... I'm not going to try and say this guy's first name because it's ridiculous, but his surname is Elmas. 2 goals off the bench in a 3-1 win for Macedonia. Back-to-back Aston Villa informs McGinn last week and Bjarnason this week. Why not indeed? He got himself 1 goal in a 2-0 win. Moise Keane, or Moise Keane, I'm not quite sure how you say his first name, but I'm guessing Keane is the surname. 1 goal in a 2-0 win for Italy. This would be a position change, though, from a striker, I believe he is, to a left wing. Obviously plays for Juve. He's actually been doing alright for Juve in the few appearances that he had this season. He was unlucky not to get an inform a couple of weeks ago, so this should be the start of something decent. You don't get many Kazakhstan players, and you also don't get many Cyprians. Konstantinos Laifis, maybe. 1 goal and a clean sheet in a 5-0 win. There aren't that many defenders to speak of. How well-rounded, by the way, is that card for a centre-back? Jeff Hendrick getting his name up there this week with 1 goal in a 1-0 win for Republic of Ireland. I'm not sure if that'll be enough, really, but as he's a midfielder, and again, there aren't that many midfielders. There's a lot of strikers and wingers available this week. So I've gone with him mainly to mix it up a little bit, really, with positions. A fairly familiar face for many of you up next with Mbai Niang. Had a stint in the Premier League, of course, now at Torino, I believe. He does have a foot swap card as well. This is, of course, nowhere near what the foot swap rating is. But still, with 2 goals in a 2-0 win in the African Cup of Nations, that should be enough. Whether it be informs or foot birthday cards, we've had a lot of position changes this week. Well, how about a nation change? Obiang had a nation change a little while back, but he hasn't had a special card since. He's got 1 goal in a 4-1 win for his new nation. And finally, for the subs bench, we have Konstantinos Fortounis with 1 goal in a 2-0 win. Olympiacos building a small collection of informs, I notice. Into the starting 11 we go, and kicking it off with a 90 rated goalkeeper, Szczesny of Poland has kept a clean sheet in a 2-0 win and making 7 saves in the process. But he's not the only Polish player to be mentioned in this week's episode. Eric Bailly up next. He's had a couple of informs, or rather 1 inform and a couple of special cards together this year. This looks to be like a very, very good one though, and I can see that this maybe will start creeping into some people's teams, especially if he gets chosen as your red player pick for the week. 1 goal and a clean sheet in a 3-0 win for Ivory Coast. Jordi Alba up next with 1 assist in a 2-1 win. The other players involved in that game, that Ramos, for instance, with a penalty, I'm not quite sure he'll get it, especially with team of the season quite close, and they've overlooked him for so many goals for Madrid this year that I thought, well, that's no point. Rodrigo has recently had a couple of special items as well. He's only got 1 goal, so I've gone with another defender there, Jordi Alba. Not the highest rated player you'll ever see in the starting 11, I'm sure, but Walker Zimmerman scored a 93rd minute winner, and he was crowned man of the match in what turned out to be a 2-1 win for LA in the MLS. Up next is our only hat-trick of this week, and it was scored by Aaron, is it Zahavi or Zavi? I'm not quite sure how you say it, but either way, he got that hat-trick in a 4-2 win for Israel. I've only ever known 1 other special card to come out of Israel, and I think it was Yossi Benayoun that got it. Bear in mind, as we move into the next player here with Shirashev, that most nations play 2 games. So even though you're seeing, for instance, Denis Shirashev with 2 goals and 1 assist and a 4-0 win, They played again, I know, I think Russia even lost their next game, correct me if I'm wrong. But obviously they played 2 games, so you could have a player from Russia and then a player from the team that they ended up beating as well because of those 2 different games. But with that being said, Denis Shirashev is our next player. Next up is an interesting one because it kind of follows the FUT birthday theme. It is going to be Matuidi of Juventus, our second Juventus player this week, of course. He got 1 assist in a 4-1 win, but it would be a really weird position change. I think it may even be left wing from CDM, so bear that in mind. There are other players from that game, of course, that scored the goals, but they've either just been given special cards or they've had countless special cards this year, and only 1 goal for the likes of people like Griezmann and Mbappe. It's not really enough, so that's why I've gone with Matuidi. Up next, we have Gnabry. Now, this is going to be controversial because there is another player there that's done more, but it's not good enough as far as EA are concerned to sell packs. So I've gone with Gnabry. We'll talk about that player when we get to the possibles. This is essentially the League SBC card, but with a position change from a left side to the right side. He, of course, got 1 goal in a 3-2 win over the Netherlands. Memphis Depay up next, and amongst the goals once more, I believe this would be the same rating as his League SBC. I'm not quite sure what position that is, but this would be a striker. He got 2 goals and 2 assists in a 4-0 win, and this is a perfect example of what I was saying earlier. Gnabry's just got himself a potential in form with a 1 goal in a 3-2 win over Holland, but Memphis Depay plays for Holland, so how does that work? Well, obviously they played a few days before, and that's where Memphis Depay got his 4 goal contributions. What I would class as the face of Team of the Week 28 is, of course, Eden Hazard. He's got 2 goals in a 3-1 win midweek, and then just earlier today he's got himself another goal in yet another win for Belgium. So all but guaranteed his place, I would have thought, at least, in Team of the Week 28. And finally, you knew it was coming. I actually said the only hat-trick this week, and I lied. Raheem Sterling, of course, was on the score sheet 3 times this week in a 5-0 win over the Czech Republic, and he was also crowned man of the match. I believe he already has a 91 rated card, but this would be equal to that, because the weird way they do informs this year. But either way, that'll actually wrap up the starting 11. There are a few players still to come, a couple of high-rated players as well, and of course another Polish player and another German that I couldn't quite decide whether they should be in there or the players that we've already chosen. I know I just said we're going into the possibles, but this is to give you some visual representation. The first player is Duda. 1 goal and 1 assist in a 2-0 win. Looks like a decent card, but again, it's so difficult to choose when it comes to international duty because I don't really have an awful lot of information to go off. But just know he's in the possibles. You never know. Akam up next. Can't quite remember where this is from. I think this is from an MLS game. David Akam with 2 goals and 1 assist in a 3-0 win. I believe that's Philadelphia Union. But again, because it's an MLS game, it's not international. Not quite sure whether it's enough. Krunic up next of Bosnia. He was in my not starting 11, but in the team for quite a while. He got 1 goal in a 2-1 win, but I couldn't quite decide whether to bump him or someone else, and I ended up bumping Krunic. But just know that it's possible. Piatek up next. 2 Polish players, actually, back-to-back here. I said there was only 1. There are 2. This is from the midweek game. He has a 1 to watch. That's one of the reasons why I think this is a strong possibility. He got that 1 goal in a 1-0 win. And Glick, he got a goal in, I think it was a 2-0 win for Poland. It was a 2-0 win for Poland, but I went with Szczesny. It's very likely that they will go with Glick because of the lack of defenders. But I don't know, I couldn't find another goalkeeper. Everyone's conceded goals, not many shots have been taken, so that's why I went with Glick. Schultz up next. He got 1 goal and 1 assist in a 3-2 win over Holland. And of course, I went with Gnabry. Reason for that is because we've got an awful lot of left-sided players this week. You've got the likes of Hazard. Hazard's the left side. Matuidi is a position change to the left side, and Bai Niang is another player. And I'm pretty sure there's at least 1 more. That's 4 players that are already left-sided. If I went with Schultz as well, it'd be yet another left-sided player. So that's why I went with Gnabry, and he's a right-sided player. But I mean, they could give him to both, or Schultz could get it. But either way, that's going to do it for this week's Team of the Week predictions. I am most likely missed someone massive, and I do apologise. The information is so much harder to get my hands on because it's not as clear. that I'm more than likely to miss someone. And like I said, I do apologise. Let me know if you think I have in the comments section down below. If you have enjoyed it though, smack the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until the next time, goodbye.